Good afternoon, aloha. Very good. You all got indoctrinated. Thank you, General Ham, for the introduction. I have to say, General Ham has been a mentor to me, both, I think, directly and probably unbeknownst to him, indirectly, going on a dozen years now. He's been most helpful to my own professional development, so I thank you, General Ham, for your continued service to the nation in this role here, and for the very kind introduction. I also want to say hello and good afternoon to General Brown and General Abrams. I know they've both had the opportunity to speak with you already. Hopefully they covered 95% of my ground. I apologize if I repeat anything they had to say. General Abrams has a tall order. It's been a distinct pleasure to work in partnership with him over the last 7 months, I guess, now together on the problems that face us when it comes to North Korea. And despite the differences in alma maters, I think the kinship we have in being co-1982ers has been most helpful. Now, I know General Brown, we spend quite a bit of time together here in Hawaii talking about the Army's vision for the future and our collective vision for the Indo-Pacific, and he's been an important partner as well, so I'm grateful for both their service and for being here today. This is my first LANPAC, probably no surprise to anybody. I just spent quite a bit of time talking about it in the car with my folks on the way down here, and I know that they're doing a tremendous job, and it was a pleasure to see some of the booths out front just now. And it is also great to see all the general officers and others that are here in attendance today, as well as all those from the allies and partner network that we enjoy. I intend to make the focus of my remarks to that international audience for the most part. Please bear with me if you're a U.S.-only audience, but I hope General Brown filled that in. 28 nations, other nations, here with us at LANPAC today, representing nations from all across the Indo-Pacific. And I'd like to thank you specifically for making this long trip to such an important event. And if you take nothing else away from my conversation, and certainly the conversation of all the interlocutors that are here today, I hope you will recognize that we are in this together and a partner that you can rely on. The theme for this year's LANPAC hit the mark regarding the theater applicability. A free and open Indo-Pacific, innovative and agile land forces expertly describes America's need for the land component in this theater, a land component that knows the world is evolving. Whether on the blue continent of Oceania, the Pacific Island chain, operating in the archipelagic environment of Southeast Asia, responding to a natural disaster in South Asia, or exercising in Northeast Asia, we cannot realize our collective goals in the Indo-Pacific without securing the land domain. Our vision at U.S. Indo-Pacific Command is to ensure a free and open Indo-Pacific, alongside a constellation of like-minded allies and partners, united by mutual security, interests, and values in order to deter adversary aggression, protect the homeland, and be ready to fight and win in armed conflict. I'll frame my remarks today around how I view the land domain's role in the theater, especially that of deterring armed conflict and building a network of allies and partners in order to ensure a free and open Indo-Pacific. Now, for more than 70 years, I would argue that the Indo-Pacific has been largely peaceful, and that's due to two things. First is the willingness and commitment of free nations to work together, as well as the credibility of the combat power that's resident within U.S. Indo-Pacific Command, and certainly U.S. Army Forces Pacific and U.S. Forces Korea. But most importantly, the credibility of that combat power as it works alongside its allies and partners in the region. That peace and the resulting prosperity are now threatened by the likes of the People's Republic of China, by Russia, by the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, and by violent extremist organizations across the theater. This is in addition to the constant threat of natural disasters to our nations. Living here on the rim of fire, so close to the equator, it seems like our mutual natural disaster period is a never-ending 365 days a year. But I believe we are facing a serious threat to all of us, a fundamental divergence in values that leads to two incompatible visions of the future when we speak of the People's Republic of China especially. Through fear and coercion, our adversaries are seeking to bend, break, and replace the existing rules-based international order. In its place, they seek to create a new international order, one that is closed and authoritarian, one where nations large and small subordinate their own sovereignty to the interest of just one country, an outcome that displaces the stability and peace of the Indo-Pacific that has endured for some 70 years now. Make no mistake, the job at U.S. Indo-Pacific Command is to lead the military component of America's national strategy to ensure a free and open Indo-Pacific. First and foremost, that means we will deter escalation to armed conflict. But if deterrence fails, we will be able to dominate any adversary and win in conflict should any adversary choose that path. I'm happy to say there's a general convergence around the idea of a free and open Indo-Pacific, as Japan, Australia, New Zealand, Prime Minister Modi's speech at the Shangri-La Dialogue last year, as well as Indonesia's effort to lead a free and open Indo-Pacific concept, the development of one within ASEAN, is critically important. But collectively, our armies face a wide array of threats across the whole of the continuum of competition when it comes to our adversaries. As I mentioned, we collectively face the threat of natural disasters, but we face coercion and corruption as well. These attempt to prevent the ability of all forces to respond to national threats during times of peace. We also face the persistent threat of terrorism, and of course we face the potential of armed conflict. Indeed, the challenges facing the land forces throughout the theater are forcing an evolution in doctrine, in posture, in training, and equipment. And just as the rifle and the tank changed the way the Army fought in the last century, land forces today must adapt to equally significant changes in the environment of the 21st century. And as our threats evolve, we must be able to deter, respond, and again, dominate and win. The Department of Defense and the Army will procure new capabilities, develop new concepts, and enhance our capacity. But we will only be lethal if we have the readiness and ability to employ these alongside our allies and partners. That means we need compatibility, interoperability, and combined training to ensure our interdependence during armed conflict should deterrence fail. And since no two competitors are alike, we cannot attempt to deter one in the same way as another. Any competitor or adversary in our theater must not see an avenue to success through armed conflict. And I have to say that the U.S. Army's actions to date to improve its deterrent posture in theater is commendable. Extending the duration of Pacific Pathways, as just one example, extending the duration of Pacific Pathways rotations provides Indo-Pacific Command with a capacity to respond to crises quicker than when we are forward deployed, than when in our home garrison. But that's just one example. The engagement it provides is exceptional as well. The Army's investment in multi-domain operations capability is also a significant step in the right direction to be able to fight in this 21st century. The Army took a big step forward last year during the Rim of the Pacific exercise when it demonstrated its ability to deliver fires against maritime targets. but there is indeed more work to do. We must keep in mind that our competitors have been studying the American way of war and developing asymmetric capabilities to compete with us for more than 20 years. We have not attended to these new threats like we attended to the threats in Southwest Asia so far. We have a long way to go to regain the deterrent advantage we enjoyed as recently as just 25 years ago. The entire Department of Defense will continue to invest in capabilities, the capacities, and the readiness in order to dominate in the air, sea, space, cyberspace, and land domains vis-a-vis peer competitors such as the People's Republic of China or Russia, and also will continue to combat the persistent threat of terrorism. One of America's inherent strengths is that it does not act, fight, or win unilaterally. As the land component evolves to compete, deter, and win, it must do so in a way that is compatible and interoperable with allies and partners. As I said earlier, our vision is to ensure a free and open Indo-Pacific alongside a constellation of like-minded allies and partners. This is an achievable strategic goal if and only if we are willing to work together. As we have for the last 70 years, we will continue to thrive by working together, united by mutual security, by our mutual security concerns, our interests, and our values. It is not lost on the vast majority in the region that America and its allies has fought and bled across the Indo-Pacific not to conquer it, but to liberate it. We respect the sovereignty of all nations and their citizens, large and small, to fly, sail, and operate consistent with the rule of law. The vast majority of nations as well support a rules-based international order that is free from coercion and one that enhances our relative peace and growing prosperity. And we must attend to the values which underwrite the principles of a free and open Indo-Pacific as well. We must reaffirm, promote, and defend collectively our shared values as defined by the United Nations Charter and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which respect individual rights and liberties while promoting governance accountable to our citizens. Collectively, when we make strategic decisions through the combined lens of security, interests, and values, and we encourage others to do the same, we can ensure a prosperous, a peaceful, and a free and open Indo-Pacific. Now, if I could, I just want to leave you with 3 operational level things to think about. These thoughts come in the form of our engagements, our exercises, and our individual experiences. First, the U.S. approach to allies and partners at the operational level is through mutually beneficial and purposeful engagements. We endeavor to be attuned to the needs of our partners and find solutions that benefit both of us. At the heart of it, we intend to build partnerships that build trust. This concept applies in our foreign military sales, in the interoperability that comes from common systems, from common operating norms, and in our formal and in interpersonal relationships. Coming together in venues like LANPAC is most appreciated and helps advance our collective security. Second, when it comes to exercises, we must attend to new concepts and capabilities in cyber and space and in the understanding of the defense of our critical infrastructures, the resilience that's required between the civilian apparatus and the military one. Our intelligence, our maneuver, our fires, and our sustainment concepts, all operational level of war concepts, should be developed alongside other services jointly. And most importantly, they must recognize allied and partner capability and capacity to contribute, either in kind or in conjunction with these and their expertise and their expert understanding of the local and regional security needs and capabilities. These must likely be accommodated. These must likewise be accommodated. Lastly, it has been my great fortune to come to meet and know many of you, understand your concerns, your capabilities, the capacity of your militaries. We will have true compatibility and interoperability when we come to truly rely on each other's experience. We in the United States intend to try, learn, and improve while alongside our allies and partners. Land forces have long been a bulwark in this theater and will continue to be so through shared experiences and a commitment to learn from each other. Looking forward, I expect U.S. Army Forces Pacific will continue to play a foundational role in assuring Indo-Pacific nations share that experience. We too are in this for the long haul and with that shared experience. Engagements like these, exercises like Cobra Gold and others, and shared experiences will continue to help us work together in peace to prevent conflict and sustain the rules-based international order that has led to the peace and prosperity that all our nations rely upon. As I said earlier, the Indo-Pacific has been largely peaceful due to that willingness and commitment, as well as the credibility and the combat power of all of us working together side by side. Our competitors are threatening our peace by trying to sow doubt in that very premise. I have no doubt about the United States. I have no doubt about our allies and partners represented in this room today. Together, we can and we will continue to ensure a free and open Indo-Pacific. Once again, I thank the LANPAC Symposium, here and AUSA for the tremendous job they've done putting together this forum. I appreciate all of your attention today and wish you the best of the remainder of your week. Thank you very much.